Hey,
Every
what's up,
decade in the video
guys?
game industry, us gamers are lucky
here.
enough to get the chance to play some amazing titles, and also be a part of a whole new era of advancement within the industry. Sometimes, though, video games get released that make us question just what the developers were thinking.
Well, it's not like we get a do-over on this one. The hell we don't!
Whether they suffered from terrible control and gameplay, or just served as a slap in the face to their respective franchises, you're watching Gamer Brain, and today we're taking a look at our picks for the top 10 worst video games of the last decade. Number 10. Homie Rollers, Nintendo DS. What do you get when you combine Mario Kart with an incredibly racist background story? If you said anything other than Homie Rollers on the Nintendo DS, then you'd be wrong. Released in 2008 by Destineer Games, Homie Rollers allows players to take control of one of the many Homies characters, which are, in case you didn't already know, all based on different Hispanic stereotypes. Jump in your own custom-built car, and well, race until you get first. The game is actually based off of a comic book series and toy line from the mid-1990s, but of course anyone who played this game probably didn't know that. The game featured arguably the worst graphics on the Nintendo DS, as well as some of the most horrendous control I've ever seen in a game. Pair that with very few courses to choose from, and a terrible camera system, and you've got yourself a really, really bad racing game. IGN rated this game a mere 2 out of 10 and cited it as being painful to play. Definitely stay far, far away from this game and just go play some Mario Kart. Number 9. Life of Black Tiger, PlayStation 4. When the trailer for this game was released a few months ago, many gamers actually thought that it was a joke. Life of Black Tiger looks more like something that would get denied even on Steam Greenlight, rather than be released on the PlayStation Network store. In the game, you take control of, yup, you guessed it, a tiger, and your goal is to travel around each stage, mauling humans, and collecting various scents that are scattered throughout each level. As it turns out, this game is a rather sloppy port of an over 3-year-old iOS game, but the game has some serious control issues, and the frame rate looks like it's running on your grandmother's old Windows 98 PC. Just how Life of Black Tiger was able to make its way onto the PSN store is definitely beyond me, but while many reviewers haven't covered it, we here at Gamer Brain saved you the trouble and give this game a whopping 1 out of 10. To put it quite simply, this game sucks. Number 8. Leisure Suit Larry, Box Office Bust, Xbox 360. If you're unfamiliar with the Leisure Suit Larry series, then you're definitely not alone. This series was pretty popular back in the late 80s, being released for many popular home computers at the time, but not without its fair share of controversy. Due to the sexual nature of the subject matter, this game stirred up some less than happy opinions from parents. But if we focus just on this Xbox 360 release, then this game is, well, just as the name suggests, a total bust. This game is actually a sequel to the original Xbox title, Leisure Suit Larry Magna Cum Laude. Following Larry Lovich as he works for his uncle, who is from what I gathered the original Leisure Suit Larry from the 80s, at his film studio in some Hollywood-esque type setting, the game features some of the worst jokes possibly ever heard in a video game, and opts to feature a mix of gameplay styles such as racing, platforming, fighting, open world, and shooting. But I mean, with so many genres represented here, all of them literally suck. Add in some terrible control and some serious technical glitches, and you've got yourself Leisure Suit Larry Box Office Bust. A terrible, terrible entry into the 360 library that received yet another rating of painful from the reviewers over at IGN. I never played this one when it was first released, and I gotta say, I'm actually really proud of that. Number 7. Rogue Warrior, Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. First announced in 2006, Rogue Warrior by Bethesda, yes, that Bethesda, was set for release in 2007. The game's release was delayed many times after Bethesda stated that they weren't satisfied with the project, eventually being released for the Xbox and PlayStation 3 in mid-2009, which was a full 3 years after it was announced. The game finally came out. The game's story revolves around how the United States has sent in Richard Marcinko, a U.S. Navy SEAL veteran, voiced by Mickey Rourke of all people, on a mission into North Korea to disrupt the launch of ballistic missiles. Although this game isn't based on the presidency of Donald Trump, it was universally panned by critics and often referred to as not only one of the worst games of 2009, but one of the worst games ever. Some criticisms of the game include its poor controls, multiple glitches, foul language, definitely rushed production, and uninteresting gameplay, as well as the game's short length. To put it simply, Rogue Warrior isn't just a terrible shooter, but it's an awful game through and through, and it really has no redeeming qualities. The game received a 1.5 out of 10 on IGN, and this game is for sure one to steer clear of. Number 6. Quantum Theory, Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. Released in 2010 by Koei Tecmo, Quantum Theory came out for the Xbox 360 and PS3, and right off the bat with this game, you'll notice that it looks an awful lot like Gears of War. Too bad for this game's sake, it fails to deliver anywhere near the fun factor and charm that the Gears series has. In the game, you take control of Sid and Felina, and as the player, it's your job to save humanity by climbing and destroying, from what I gathered, is a huge tower that is also somehow alive. However, even though this game may look like it's not that bad, the shooting mechanics are broken, the level design is borderline awful, and what little potential this game had left is ruined by the lack of any characters that are interesting in the slightest. The story is pretty off the wall, and this game really just has no redeeming factors to it that would make anybody want to play it. The game received a mere 2.5 out of 10 from the reviewers over at IGN, and they said, I quote, "This game simply sucks." Number 5. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. To start off with, if you're watching this video, you've probably played at least one of the Tony Hawk games, but whether you like skateboarding or not, these games are sure to be a fun time. Or that's what we thought with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5 marked the first entry in the series for over 8 years, and it was by far the worst game fans of the series had ever seen. Glitches and bugs in the version that got released simply showed that the game was definitely not playtested enough at all, and the game lacked the charm and arcadey gameplay that made the series great since its inception. Since its launch in 2015, it's received a handful of patches to get things back on track, but the modes still feel like the same old thing regurgitated that we've seen for years now, and the game really offers nothing fresh to bring players back to the series. Let me know in the comments below if you're like me and you're just holding out for EA to release Skate 4. Number 4. Sonic Boom: Rise of Lyric. Back in 2010, the Sonic franchise seen many great entries, such as Sonic Generations and Sonic Colors. But for some reason when the Wii U came out, Sega went back to the drawing board and gave us what seemed like a step backward in the form of Sonic Lost World for the Wii U. But that game is nothing compared to 2014's Sonic Boom. The game was so bad that it was universally panned by critics upon its release, and serves as another slap in the face to fans who have been playing the games for years. Rise of Lyric takes away from the traditional platforming base that the franchise is known for in favor of a puzzle-solving and exploration-type game. Players can freely switch between controlling Sonic, Tails, and Amy, as well as some of the other Sonic characters that you'd expect, but they all use their unique abilities to progress through the game. While that all sounds okay on paper, it was executed very, very poorly. The camera is nauseatingly terrible, the frame rate drops constantly, and the levels feel like they were slapped together in an afternoon by their designers. While this game isn't as bad as the masterpiece that is Sonic 06, for fans of the series, this is definitely a game to stay away from. Number 3. Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified. Released in 2012 exclusively for Sony's PlayStation Vita, Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified was what fans hoped to be their ticket to the much-loved franchise on the go. Upon its release, critics panned its short gameplay, terrible enemy AI, unreliable online servers, and small map sizes. The campaign was cited as being a little over an hour long, and while the game did try some unique ideas, such as using the rear touchpad of the PlayStation Vita as part of the game's control scheme, fans were left with what felt more like a demo than an actual full retail game, providing us players with what felt like a terrible value for our money. Many people called this game a massive middle finger to the fans of the COD series, and I'm willing to bet we won't see another portable version of Call of Duty anytime soon. Number 2. Vampire Reign. Vampire Reign was released for the PS3 and the Xbox 360 in July of 2007. The game is set in suburban Los Angeles, where an infestation of vampires have decided to take over. Players take control of a special operative named John Lloyd, and once you've entered this vampire-infested city, it's your job to wipe out all vampires in sight. The player must then find their way through all areas of your typical horror game-style city, with all the fog and rain that you'd expect. In the game, you'll be moving across rooftops and through back alleys, avoiding getting caught to ensure the best use of all the high-tech weaponry at your disposal. While it all sounds cool on paper, it really didn't turn out well. Reviews of the game cited its poor enemy AI, lackluster controls, and for taking some of the formulas used in games like Metal Gear Solid and Splinter Cell, but executing them terribly. Although this game was ranked as one of the worst games on the Xbox 360, it was fortunate enough to receive a sequel, and if you didn't already guess, it sucked. There are far better zombie games out there for gamers, and Vampire Reign is yet another title to stay clear of. Number 1. Ride to Hell Retribution. Oh boy, where do we start with this one? Originally announced in 2008, Ride to Hell Retribution was eventually released for the PC, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360 in June of 2013. Players are still unsure to this day how this game even got cleared for a physical release or got released at all. You take control in the game of Jake Conway, a Vietnam War veteran who is on a quest to ride through the California desert and avenge the death of his younger brother. There's not much to be said about this game that hasn't been said already, and it's often considered one of the worst games of all time, if not the worst game ever. Every aspect of this game is broken, from the controls to the highly unpolished and at times unfinished graphic. Take on a ton of offensive dialogue and you've got yourself a game that scored a mere 1 out of 10 on IGN. Personally, I think Ride to Hell Retribution is a massive embarrassment to the video game industry, and a game that nobody should ever have to play. This game quite frequently tops lists of the worst games of all time, so it's no surprise that people hate this game. Man, those were some terrible games. Alright guys, there you have it. There is our list
So
of
guys,
the top 10 worst
subscribe
video
to
games
my
of the past
channel
10
and
years.
his channel,
Let me know down in the comments
Gavin
below what your
Flo's
pick for the
channel,
worst video
so
game of the last decade
subscribe
would
and
be.
leave a
I know
like,
that there's some really
please, for
terrible
some
ones out
support.
there, guys.
Well guys,
Anyways,
we're gonna
make
have
sure
to
you like
end the
this
video here.
if you enjoyed it, and leave me